Hello, welcome to Iridium Rock and Metal Reviews. And today I got with me Paul Anderson. How you doing, mate?
Very good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad. So Paul's been on with me before. We did the music, the message Stryper, a 4-part. I'll check that out if anyone hasn't seen it. That was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And Paul's come on with me we're sort of reviewing the recent live performance of Even the Devil Believes at Spirithouse. So we've both obviously seen it. Paul actually watched it that night because I think it was 8 p.m. when it, Paul, or something like that for you.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Well, for me, I think it was 1 in the morning, and I had to get up at, I think it was 4:30. I had to drive as well all day that day. So I bought the ticket and I watched it because you had 48 hours, which was so cool because I thought I was going to miss it, and I had 48 hours to watch it. And also the cool thing about it was you could watch it as many times as you wanted as well. Once you bought the ticket, once it had been shown that live, you could watch it over and over again. You could pause it, go back to it. So it was so much more, wasn't it, Paul, than a one-off live performance, if you like.
Yeah, I watched it through completely when it was live, watched the Q&A afterwards, which was really good. And then, then I watched back bits and pieces. Yeah. Wanted to prepare a little bit for our talk here as well. So I kind of was able to watch it back a little bit just to kind of get a feel for some of the nuances more.
Exactly. So, I mean, I'm sure that most people watching this video will probably be Stryper fans, but just in case there's some that are not, or you didn't know about this performance itself, it wasn't actually a live performance as such. So they pre-recorded the whole thing live at the Spirithouse studios, and filmed it properly with a few cameras. You know, it was done really professionally. It wasn't a stream or anything like that. It was actually recorded, mixed and everything. I don't know how many weeks before, but quite a few weeks before. But I mean, when I spoke to Michael Sweet in the interview, which is also on the channel, he did say that he wanted it done properly. He didn't want to stream because of the quality of some of the streams. He wanted it done properly. And boy, was it done properly. I mean, man, we're going to go on to each track by track, but as a whole, I mean, Paul, your thoughts on the actual recording itself?
It was really good. You know, I didn't know entirely what to expect. I mean, I've seen Stryper 17 times. I know that they always put on an amazing show. They're probably, I've seen a lot of concerts, and in all honesty, they are one of the tightest bands I've ever seen. They just, when it comes to their music, they make sure that they put everything into their show. I've even got there early at some shows and got to see some sound checks, and I know Michael himself is a perfectionist. So yeah, everything that he sets out to do, it's just, he wants the fan to experience it the way he wants to experience the music. So that comes out for sure.
Well, I mean, the quality, I mean, I honestly, not exaggerating, I was listening to it and I closed my eyes and just listened to the music itself. And I honestly probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the studio version on some of it. I really couldn't. You know, it was the production on it. It was just as good as that album. You know, it just felt as good. The bass was ramped up just like the studio album was. Honestly, it was, I mean, I knew that on the Q&A afterwards, he was talking about if there was any tweaks to it, you know. And as far as they were saying, you know, there might have been the odd note, you know, they tweaked the odd note on the mixing afterwards.
Yeah.
But 98% of
it.
Yeah.
Oz made a comment that, you know, if he messed up one chord that made it like sound really awful. Exactly. It was just a quick little fix to go and fix that chord and splice it in and stuff. But, you know, but once again, that, you know, it's neat. Like when they're going on a regular tour, those guys are in a studio rehearsing for like a good, probably good solid 2 weeks to a month.
Yeah.
Before they do that tour.
Yeah.
And not only that, but a lot of those songs that they're playing on the tour, to be fair, most of them aren't the new stuff. Most of them are the hits from that they've been playing for the last 37 years. That's like,
yeah, exactly. I
like
mean,
what? They just
yeah.
they don't
I mean,
even have to look at it.
I haven't been lucky enough like you to see Stryper live. I mean, you said you've seen him 17 times. I mean, I've obviously caught bits of them on YouTube and some half decent recorded concerts as well. You know, properly recorded concerts, and I always thought they sounded great. This was this was amazing performance for me. I mean, I didn't see any. I mean, if you want to look at the hardest part of this, probably. I mean, I'm not a musician, but Michael's front and center and his voice, and like he says himself, he's not getting any younger. But I was thinking he's going to miss some stuff off of this. Do you know what I mean? Because when you hear even the Devil Believes album, there's plenty of screaming, there's plenty of high register stuff being done, and I just thought, no, he will play it a little bit safe. I reckon he's going to play it a little bit safe with some of it. And man, I know we're going to go through it song by song, and I wrote a few things down that Michael might have done a little bit differently. Yeah. But I was amazed, absolutely amazed at everything the band done on this. I mean, Robert Sweet, apparently they didn't do it. He didn't do anything wrong. They didn't change anything with Robert Sweet's drumming.
No way. Oh, and I was watching him. That was, to me, one of the most entertaining parts of the show. Was they kept going in on Robert. Yeah. And I just love it. Like, I've seen videos of Robert before, and of course it's always under the lights and stuff like that. Because this was so brightly lit, one thing I loved was watching his facial expressions. You could see that guy was just, he looked like, the strong man in the gym, working out, like his mouth was contorted all different ways because he was just pounding it so hard. And it's like, yeah. And just, oh my God, it was just unbelievable watching that. What an experience. And such a, the other thing is being that it was recorded in the studio, it was just so raw and intimate. Yeah. Like it felt like you were having them perform in your house. Like, yeah, it was like, oh, I just won $1 million in the lottery and I just hired Stryper to play my party. Yeah. Right. That's what it felt like. Right. It
was all, oh, definitely. And the filming was really nicely done. And like you said, it was all nicely lit, and you're totally right there, mate. It was a brilliant recording. So sound and, and filming. And I believe they're going to release this in other ways as well, which is cool. They're going to, I mean, I remember, I don't want to keep name dropping, but, I did. Michael did say to me that, he was going to release it on on the streaming services. So it'll probably appear on your Amazon or something like that. And then later on Blu-ray as well. I know he's confirmed it will be a Blu-ray. I mean, I was speaking to you earlier on, a nice box set would be nice, wouldn't it? Because they're looking at doing all the albums. Imagine having a box set of all the albums. That'd be quite cool, wouldn't it?
That would be, you know what, I didn't even mention this to you, but one thing that Stryper has never done yet is a box set. Yeah. And can you imagine this for a second? Just picture this. I mean, Michael, if you're listening, this would be a brilliant thing to do. Once every one of these is done, if you truly do get and do this live stream in the studio for all of your studio albums, and then release a box set that has the Blu-ray and or DVD for all of those. Yeah. Include the DVD for In the Beginning, include the DVD for Live in Japan, include every CD, and include a massive coffee table book, picture book. And of course, let's not forget the documentary that you're going to be finishing up. That's got to be in there too. I mean, what true Stryper fan would not gladly pay probably a few $100s for that? Yeah, I think I would. And then I'm a little tight with my money, but I mean, if I had a set like that, just might have to do that.
Yeah, and then Michael, if you
'Cause
are
that-
watching this, Michael, I'll have one. I'll buy it off you directly with a signature on it as well. A few signatures on that.
I'm wearing my autographed shirt right now, but I got the last
Nice.
tour.
Nice, very nice. No. So, I mean, we spoke about something that annoyed us a little bit beforehand, didn't we, Paul? What's happened with this? I mean, I don't
Yeah,
think it's, I'm not sure.
guys,
Yeah. Go on, you go ahead, mate.
guys who are watching this, quit posting this crap on YouTube, please.
Yeah.
It's so unfair to the band. These guys are out there. We're in COVID right now. They cannot tour. This is the only way that we're going to still have a Stryper to go see live in the future. This is the only way we're going to have Stryper be able to produce albums in the future. They charged a pay it what you want, like starting at a minimum of $10 US. There is no reason for anyone to steal this performance. And I speak directly, the person who posted this on YouTube, you're being a bit of an asshat, man.
Yeah.
Stop it.
To say the least. Yeah. I mean, they're doing this stuff. There's a lot of bands not doing this sort of stuff, and giving us the chance for new material, because you're hearing it live as well. It was something else listening to this, but I'll tell you what I'm really more excited about in the future is when they do albums, because this sounded to me so close to the album. Imagine when they do the albums that they're going to improve. We're talking, for me, In God We Trust will be, that's going to be phenomenal. In God We Trust, when they do that, when they do the Murder by Pride and Reborn and all those, they're going to be amazing to listen to. That even better, because they'll be different, a lot different. They'll be their newer sort of a more aggressive sound, I would say. So that's something to look forward to and all, isn't it, mate? It really is. So,
and I'm looking forward to seeing. I'm really looking forward to seeing the next one, which is going to be To Hell with the Devil, that they've already recorded at Spirithouse and just are releasing that probably in the next days. I think they said next 2 to 3 months it'll probably be released, just like this one. I was at the To Hell with the Devil anniversary tour in Cleveland in 2016, and I still say that was probably my favorite Stryper concert of all time. It was amazing, and I really will be interested to see because that was the last concert I ever saw with Timothy Gaines. I'm really interested to see the new interpretation of all those songs from the bass perspective and see what Perry brings, because going to this one that we just saw, the one thing I really loved, again, it's one thing you hear it on the album, but it was totally neat to actually see it on the video. The harmony vocals between Oz and Perry on those backgrounds.
Yeah.
And they were just like, and what was the trying to remember, there's one song in particular. I think it was the title track. I believe. I could be wrong. I have to go back and listen to it again. But it was like the last chorus, and they dropped it it felt like they dropped it to a different note in those background vocals than the rest of the song. And it was like, oh my God. It was awesome. And you just really heard, it started with Oz and then Perry chimed in, and it was like, so good.
I mean, they didn't mention it, but it really sounded like they had gone and done more background vocals, but I don't think they did. It sounded like there was 5 or 6 people singing some of those. I think it's because they were so good. It just sounded really full. Them background vocals, absolutely amazing. You're totally right there, mate. And I've sort of got some things written down about the background vocals as I was listening to it, which I've made some notes here. But yeah, absolutely brilliant. So before we go track by track, just say they wasn't wearing yellow and black, were they? They was in their what did it say? Street clothes, as Michael said. Yeah. So that was quite, you know, cool watching them like that. Do you know what I mean? I think it would have been in their full yellow and black in the studio. I don't know. It might not have been that cool. You know what I mean? See them live, I suppose, on stage it is, but quite cool seeing they're quite relaxed, look really relaxed in their street clothes, which was good.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought he was great, mate. I just thought it was a note perfect performance. I'm not creeping or anything. It was perfect. I didn't hear anything out of place. And
yeah,
Michael especially, like, we got to talk about his voice, because that's what's, you're listening for that, because they're all getting on a bit, you know, like us, like me and you, you know.
absolutely.
So when singers, especially these days, are so affected when they sing live, and I don't know how much, if they were leaving much gap between, you know, each song. There was obviously recording a song. Apparently they did it a few times on each one to get the perfect one. So, you know, it was probably singing all day, at least, maybe 1 or 2 days. Man, some of those, the screamings he still does were just right up there. Just no different.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah, I don't know if he was even using a background track for some of those screams. Like, I know it when he's actually performing live in concert, because he does have to protect his voice. We talked about this on the last on our last time, that he does use backing tracks on a couple of songs, you know, in the live show, just purely because everybody wants to hear the scream. But if he were to actually probably do it, not that he couldn't do it, but if he were to do it night in, night out over a course of, 40, 50-day tour, you might find them canceling the last 10 or 15 shows because his voice will be gone, right?
Yeah.
So, but because this was live in the studio, I don't think he did. I think he was doing it for real.
I think that was one of the questions. I'm sure it was on the Q&A, and I don't think they did. I think the only thing they might have done was that the odd guitar note that was missed, you know, where they get a perfect take on a song and they think, well, they do one, like 10 takes maybe, that's the perfect one with one little mistake, and they just altered that, which is, I mean, man, bands do so much stuff to live albums now, and they always have done. You know, they've gone in the studio afterwards, and what you sometimes get ain't live at all, but it sounds like they said 98% of it was live, you know.
And the thing is too, that when it comes to a live recording, I don't like it when it's too raw, if you know what I mean. You know, when you're in the atmosphere, it's a whole different thing, right? When you're actually, the lights are out, you got the crowd of people screaming around you, and you know, they're cranking up that volume to 11, and it's a whole atmosphere, so it sounds great, right? But I find oftentimes, if recorded albums, I prefer when they take the recording right from the soundboard, to get rid of some of that excess hollowness that because when you're not actually there and you try and listen to a recording of it, it's never as good. I mean, I'm, you know, like everybody else, I've taken my smartphone and recorded different Stryper songs live over the years, as well as other bands. And yeah, it never even comes close to sounding like it really sounded when I was there. Right? It's totally different. So
I'm not a huge, like, when live albums come out, I'm not a huge fan of them. I'm really not. I prefer like this. I like watching a band live. So when the Blu-ray comes out, for instance, for this, or if that box set that we're begging you, Michael, to bring out comes out, that's a perfect thing for me. I love watching live bands with a Blu-ray, you know, in front of the TV. But I'm not a real get in the car, put a live album on. You know, I like it visually as well. That's just me, you know. But
yeah, you're right. I actually I was on a road trip with my girlfriend a couple of months ago, I think it was, and I turned on the latest Queen, which was a huge seller. It's gone to the top of the charts, their latest album, which is a live on their last tour or whatever with Adam Lambert. And we started listening to it, and my girlfriend's like, "This sounds horrible." It's like, and we both love Queen, but it just didn't sound right. Like it was too, the hollowness of it. It was like we're in the arena, but we're not in the arena, and didn't get into it at all. Turned it off after a couple songs.
Not good. And also with this Spirithouse recording, just to mention this, there was little snippets, not a lot, between the songs. There was like little bits of them hanging out in the kitchen on one of them, which was quite cool. Little bits of chat going on, weren't there? So it wasn't just that. It wasn't just the recording live. There was little bits of the band talking as well. So, like we say, how much was it again? Just about 10 quid for me, I think, £10 for me, something like that in total. Man, it's well worth it. It's well worth it. And if you can watch it for 2 days afterwards as well, as many times as you want. Yeah,
for me, it was like $15 and change Canadian.
Yeah.
Our exchange rate's about 40% extra. But it was definitely worth every penny. I will be first in line to buy my ticket for all the rest when they come available.
Yeah, me too.
And definitely watch them, and just hopefully we don't have any more asshats putting them on YouTube, the day after.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's just not cool.
It's not cool. The trouble is, it's too easy to do now, and that's the problem. But anyway, well, we're going to go through each track very quickly because for me, there's not an awful lot. I was trying to point out things that sounded slightly different. That's what I was trying to, as I was writing them down, and I was just things that sounded better even, or they did things slightly different. But it was so close to the studio version. There ain't an awful lot to talk about. It was such a perfect performance, really. But we'll go from top to bottom in order. Blood from Above obviously kicked it off. The first thing I noticed on this, and I don't know if it's me imagining it, I know a lot of bands do this, it seemed faster. And I know it's a fast song, but straight away I noticed when Michael kicked off the riff, I thought, oh, that sounds fast. But if you notice, a lot of bands do automatically play slightly faster live. But this was the only song. This was the only song that I thought that sounded a bit faster than the studio version. But straight away the scream at the beginning, and I thought, here we go. You know what I mean? It was perfect, just like in the studio. And like you said, mate, the backing vocals. Straight away, that's one of the first things I wrote down is the backing vocals. Sounded really full, just like they do on the track itself. And what the cool thing about watching this as well was I knew, even though I had an idea, who definitely did the solos now. On each song. So
yeah, that's one of the things I was going to mention. Yeah, that was actually one of the coolest parts of watching this was to actually see, and then and especially when they did the twin leads. Yeah, because they kept going back and forth. Yeah, and you see the different fretwork happening between Michael and Oz, and it was just, it's mind blowing. And I swear, like, I mean, I have tried to learn guitar and I'm like, I don't know how anybody does it. When I watch Michael play like that, and his fingers are just moving like 100 miles an hour, it seems. It's like, how do you do it? How do you, like, for me, if I play guitar, I'm like looking at my fretboard trying to make sure my finger's in the right place. How do you do it? And then have the timing on top of it, and then there's the actual picking itself, like, and what strings, like, is there some easy trick that I'm missing? Because if someone could share it with me, I would love to know. I'd love to be able to jam along with it.
There's no use asking me, mate. I mean, but actually, the funny thing was, I loved all the solos on this album. I thought they were all great. But I've actually, through watching this live recording, I've actually got a favourite solo which I didn't think was my favourite solo, till I saw it being played. And it looked so cool and difficult to play. And I was like, that I'll get to that song later. But man, I do notice like when bands are playing live, you can't do absolutely everything you've got in the studio. You have to miss some things out. There was one slight thing missed out on the, I believe anyway, on the solo on this. Stryper are one of the only bands that do this anyway. When they do a lead guitar solo, there's bits where both guitars do a twin lead bit at the same time. So Michael will be playing a lead guitar, then Oz will come in with a twin lead bit the same time, you know, they'd do it at the same time. Then it'd go back to Michael again. There was just a slight part missed out, I think, on this, but they can't, because then you wouldn't have a rhythm guitar in the background. So you can do it in the studio, you can't do it live. Just a simple little thing as I was, you know, looking at it in detail. But I just thought it sounded amazing, man. I just thought as soon as that first song kicked off, I thought, this is it. It's going to sound like this. This is just, and production-wise, outstanding. Outstanding.
Fantastic.
And then we moved on to a song that, and after I said that they played that really fast, it's probably a really hard song to keep at a slow speed, and that's Make Love Great Again, because it's quite a slow song, isn't it? It must be difficult to play slow, if you know what I mean, because it's quite a slow sort of chugging sort of song. But
it's all about the bass.
Oh man, I'm not sure. You know that special effect that they got on Perry's bass at the beginning of this song in the studio version. It's a real weird sort of sound. He's got something going on his bass, isn't he? It's a really
not exactly sure. I'm not as technical as you are. I mean, we've talked about that before. I'm more of a, I listen to it, I either like it or I don't.
There's like it's a really strange sort of futuristic sort of sound at the beginning of this Make Love Great Again on the studio version. I'm not sure if they played it because they had there was a film of them as the band. They wasn't in the studio at that part. And then it cut to them in the studio. So I'm not sure if that was something they could do live, because it's a really weird, not bass part. But I've just put down that it's yet again. I noticed that the first solo in this was Oz, and then they swapped. I noticed that being a bit, I don't know, looking at some detail in this, there was a guitar solo part, and they must have had some sort of effect on it. It sounded like a twin lead, but what the other both guitarists weren't playing. So quite a cool effect on a guitar, that make it sound like a twin lead's playing. I don't know what effect that is, so perhaps someone can let me know on the channel, because I'm not a musician. But that was quite cool. But another great performance again, Make Love Great Again, one of my favorites from the album anyway.
Yeah, great song.
Yeah. Let Him In's next. So Oz playing this song.
This one live. Yep.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, there's some songs on here as well. You're right there, mate, that are going to be outstanding in front of a crowd. I mean, this one, like you said, Let Him In, backing vocals again, man. I mean, and I think they're sort of so good at the backing vocals. In this one, they seem to be giving Michael time to breathe as well, because this sounds like quite a hard song to sing. And it's quite an aggressive song. You know, Michael's voice has changed over the years anyway, but he really gives it some on this one, doesn't he? And I think Oz and Perry's backing vocals give him time to breathe with his vocals in this. Brilliant song, an absolutely brilliant song, amazing. And the next one, which is my favourite Stryper song of all time.
Mine too. And others.
Yeah, I thought this might be the most, when they started playing this, I thought this could be the hardest one to pull off. You know, a lot of intricate guitar work going on, this lot of complexity, and they did it, man, perfectly.
You know, it's funny when you're watching him play it live too, and then you compare it to what in the video.
Yeah.
And like his guitar solo didn't miss a beat. It's like
I know, man. I know. I mean, I think I'm not sure, but I don't know. I was watching Michael sing this one in the chorus. I think he's singing it because Oz and Perry are singing it higher in the chorus. They do the actual chorus. I think Michael's singing it lower. But yet again, you know what I mean? But when you've got brilliant backing singers like that, it just sounded perfect anyway. But he was singing, I think he was singing the lower range. But their voices are so good. I was trying to, it's hard to listen if it's Michael or if it's Oz, you know, because Oz has got such a great voice as well. Well, they all have, you know. But and Michael, obviously, I knew he played this solo because of the video and just pulled it off just perfectly. And the little twin lead bit at the end, you know, when they all join in, even Perry, right near the end, I was waiting for that bit. It's one of my favourite parts of the song. But yeah, it's a brilliant song, man.
I got to say, too, another thing, and, you know, we're going through is another cool experience with this whole concept. It's just the idea of playing an entire album live. It's you know, there's so many songs that get recorded that you generally just never get to hear live because they're just, some songs are just meant for live and other songs are just meant for the album.
Yeah.
You know, to be honest, I'd be shocked if a song like Middle Finger Messiah is ever played live.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I could be wrong. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. I just don't see that as I think it's an amazing song. I just don't think it's one that'll ever get the time of day on a live performance. Maybe a one-off here or there they might, but when they do the whole album, and that was the same thing when I went to see the To Hell with the Devil 30th anniversary tour.
Yeah.
You know, I got to see songs that I've never heard live, you know, Holding On and Rockin' the World and, you know, stuff like that. And so, and anybody who didn't get to see that tour, when we'll get to see that in the studio setting like this one in a couple of months.
I think you're right. Yeah.
It's such a cool experience to hear some songs live that you just normally don't get to see live. So
you only ever get to see bands perform a whole album live, don't you? If it's deemed as a classic, like you said, you went to see To Hell with the Devil anniversary, or a concept album, something like that. You know, like Queensryche's Operation Mindcrime, or Maiden toured when they toured a Matter of Life and Death album. They played the whole album because I think at the time it came out, they thought it was one of the best things they'd done for years. So they played the whole thing live. So it's only rare occasions, but you're right. A lot of these songs, well, you know what, man? I mean, it is known, it's sort of being known as Stryper's favourite album by a lot of Stryper's fans. So it could be one of them 10-year anniversary ones, you know. You could end up hearing it in 10 years as a...
I took the words right out of my mouth. I was thinking, I was going back, I was going to go, well, I don't think a 30th is going to be possible because they'll be pushing like close to 90 by that time. 20, they're pushing 80. Okay. You know, 10-year anniversary, maybe.
Yeah, exactly, mate. No.
Unless any of them are, you know, if they're all going to be like Keith Richards of the world and you know, just, you know, then maybe we can get a 30th.
You never know. Hopefully, mate. They do look after themselves, so hopefully, yeah. Well, the title track's next, and the only thing I noticed on this, you know, those really cool harmonics that are playing over the beginning, that sound very. I think they was played. They sounded a little bit different to me, but it was cool to hear it a bit different, if you know what I mean. But I don't think there was anything wrong. I think they just played it a little tiny bit different. It sounded slightly different. But this is the song where I said to you that the guitar solo is now my favourite of the album. I mean, to watch, this was a split solo, by the way. It was Michael, then Oz. But the complexity, and I was watching, like you said, when you see Michael's fingers and Ozzy's fingers, I was watching this solo, and watching it and hearing it made this my favourite solo. It looked so hard to play and so melodic at the same time, and absolutely brilliant. A brilliant solo on that. The next one was interesting, mate. How to Fly, and this wasn't one of my top favourites of the album. You know, when I first heard it, but this needed to be spot on live. the backing vocals, like you said earlier, with this one had to be spot on because it's the backing vocals are right center and front on this, because of the way the studio version is. But I'll tell you what I liked about this, and this what you get this in the studio. Obviously, there's parts in this song where they're hanging the chords out, and you can hear it almost hitting the feedback. You know, when chords are hung out when they play them live, and when they're hung out too long, you can just hear the feedback coming in. I thought that was quite cool, quite a cool little touch to How to Fly. So, but it's still not one of my favourites. But I thought I enjoyed it better live than I did in the studio.
It's an interesting song. It's funny actually, when I had my very first listen to the album, I had kind of the opposite effect. It was actually one of my favorite songs at first. I don't know what it was. I think it was that part of the background vocal, and it also, I teared up a bit on the emotion of the song. Like, it was really, lyrically for me, it really was a powerful song.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why I gravitated to it. It's often been compared as a Beatlesque type song.
Yeah.
Now I like the Beatles. I'm not a massive Beatles fan. I can get into, like, obviously some of their hits. So I personally, I can only trust people when they say that it's a Beatles song. I don't know if I really necessarily picked that up myself. But yeah, great song. It's no longer my favorite on the album. As I said, Do Unto Others has become my number one favorite Stryper song of all time. It has replaced them all, every single one of them. Perfect 10. I would give it 11 or 12 if that was allowed. I mean, just there's nothing about that song I dislike. Right? And it is funny how, on an individual album, the orders will change over time.
Yeah.
Mine
have. Since the first listen, mine have changed my views of a lot of the songs. I like a lot of them more now. I don't like any of them less. It's just in a different order, But no,
some marks have gone up, but no marks have gone down.
No, exactly. So, well, the next one, like you said, some of these songs are going to be great live. What about this one then, Divider?
It was also good. Now, I was trying to listen for it. This song, there's one part in the studio recording, and I was trying to listen to it on this part, and I don't know if I heard it, and I kind of thinking maybe I didn't, but correct me if I'm wrong. But there's that one part at the end of the solo, I believe, where it sounds like a jet fighter taking off. Or not taking off, but doing a flyover.
Right. Okay.
Do you remember? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't actually. No, I'm gonna. So we can't listen to it now until the Blu-ray comes out. But I mean, no, I didn't notice it when I was listening to it. To tell you the truth.
Yeah, go back and listen to that song, and you'll, as soon as you hear it, you're going to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But it's the one part where you hear the drums, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know how to.
When it's building up, to go back in,
building up, and then you just hear this roar of. It sounds like a fighter jet, just doing a flyover.
Yeah.
And it's like the afterburners coming on, right? and it's honestly, it's like my favorite part of the song. I love it, and I don't think I heard it in the live performance, which is quite possible.
Yeah.
Because for all we know, they could have spliced that in from
probably
an actual effect, right, or something. Because I don't think it's something that you could necessarily produce. On the guitar. I think it's something that would have to be kind of spliced in, but I could be wrong.
I'll tell you what they did do cool in this, because they didn't have the gang vocals, obviously, did they? There was only them in this, because they had a lot of people helping out in the studio, didn't they? The fans helping out. But they did a great job on it. Now, this
It would have
next
been
one,
cool if they had actually spliced that footage in.
yeah, that would have been, yeah, you're right there, yeah.
You know, that's something they could have done is they're recording it live, but just splice that one
yeah,
spot in where those guys are doing had them all around doing it. That would have been kind of cool.
Yeah, they must have filmed something that day, so they must have had some stuff on their phones and stuff from that day. But well, the next one, I'll tell you what, man, this improved to me more than the studio version. And you know what you were saying a bit earlier on, this had a lot of emotion in it for me.
This I pray.
This I pray. And I'll tell you what, the guitar, as soon as Michael started strumming at the beginning of this on that acoustic guitar, that acoustic guitar sounded 20 times better than the one on the album. Sounded so warm, unbelievable sound on that acoustic guitar. Straight away I wrote that down, sound of that acoustic guitar, wow. And I did notice there's and on a few of these songs, and the next one as well, keyboards. So who's doing the keyboards on this? Any idea?
I have no clue. I'm guessing probably it might be Danny, the actual owner of Spirithouse. I think he's a keyboardist by trade, if I'm not mistaken. Is it Danny Bernini, I think?
Well, whether they put them in afterwards or not, I don't know. But as I was listening to it, obviously, when you hear keys and you don't see anyone playing them, you're thinking who's doing that, don't you? But definitely keys on this one. I could hear them. They add to the atmosphere of the song, but I don't know if they put them in. But very emotional, man. This song, when I was watching this live, a lot more than I love the song anyway. But watching it being played live was really emotional.
And from a spiritual point of view as well, I know Oz made a reference to it in the Q&A afterwards. You know, that they still to this day pray before every show. And they cut in with that prayer. And I believe, I'm pretty sure it was actually before the song, which makes kind of sense because they probably do it all the time. But I mean, just for the video perspective, it was a kind of cool feature to see Michael saying a little prayer about you know, for that day going forward and whatnot. And then they cut into the song. And I'm pretty sure it was just before this song.
Yeah, it was a really cool rendition of the song. I thought it was a big improvement on the studio version, even though that's good as well. But I loved it.
I love that song. Period.
Yeah. Well, the next one was a favourite of mine from the beginning. It still is, Invitation Only. Yet again, keyboards in this again. But this is probably the most. When I first listened to the album, this was the keyboards I noticed the most on the song because it's during that chorus, that very 80s chorus. It sounded a little bit rawer to me, a little bit more of light. It is obviously a live version, but this version sounded a bit rawer than the studio version. I noticed on this as well, which I didn't know, it goes Michael solo, Oz solo, back to Michael, then back to Oz. So didn't know that. Didn't know there was 4 different parts of the solo, which was really cool. That's been the most amazing bit for me, seeing who's playing what and seeing them actually playing them. Love Invitation Only, man. It's a great song.
It's another song that's just so grown on me too. The more I listen to this album, it's like, it was kind of funny when I first heard the original back before the album was even released. Somebody had released all the iTunes clips on YouTube, so you could just get a taste of it. And at the first I thought it was okay and stuff, and then you get the album, it's like okay. Okay. You just keep liking it more and more. It's like, you know, they've taken this song that was written in '89 that was supposed to be on Against the Law.
That's the weird thing as well, isn't it? Don't that seem weird to you? That, I mean, it's probably changed a lot. They've probably done a lot to it since they left it in '89. It doesn't sound like a Against the Law song at all, and that's probably why they left it off of the album. But it sounds
more to me like it should be on In God We Trust. Actually,
I agree. I totally agree.
Feel to it. It's got that poppy sound to it, but it's like I think they probably gave it a modern edge, like they've done to so many songs now.
It's a
They
great
just
song.
sound so much more modern now, but still appealing to that 80s fan base.
Well, this next one, mate, is the definite crowd pleaser when they actually get to play it, if they do play it live. I don't know if they will play it in front of a crowd, but this one reminds me of, I don't know, Y&T, this one. I don't know if you like Y&T, but it really reminds me, and that's God and Rock and Roll. What a great song. Just another crowd pleaser. I think this is going to be, I think they should play this live.
I wouldn't be surprised to see this played live. They do. I mean, I don't know if it'll necessarily be up there like Calling on You and Free. That's basically played at every show. But it definitely does have that sing along chorus and whatnot. I remember long before the album came out, and Michael was talking about that they had this song called For God and Rock and Roll, and at the time, I just thought it was a brilliant title, and I actually was positive that would be the title of the album and the title track, because I just thought, what better way to describe Stryper for God and Rock and Roll? Like it's like, that's what they've always been about. So.
They like to be a bit more controversial than that, though, than they on their album titles.
Well, even The Devil Believes is not controversial, but
yeah, I'm sure someone thought. I'm sure someone thought it was
the controversial one on this one.
Yeah, I'm sure someone thought even The Devil Believes was controversial. Someone's got to look into everything like that, haven't they? You know what I mean? Someone's got something to say about everything. But well, for the last one, Michael actually dropped his guitar. He didn't have a guitar in the last one, Middle Finger Messiah. So
that's correct. He didn't. Yes.
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
right.
I was a bit
done over there till you mention it.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't affect the song whatsoever. I mean, the only time it did get affected, I suppose, was in the solo because there's no rhythm guitar there in the background. But I think it sounded perfect. I mean, Eddie Van Halen went without a rhythm guitar, didn't he? All through his career. So, so it was fine. But I thought it was cool seeing him. It made a bit of a difference at the end there. He let go a bit. Do you know what I mean? So, no, man. That is probably Middle Finger Messiah's probably, for me, my least favourite off the album. Not that it's a weak track in any way whatsoever. But if there was one song that is my least favourite, it's probably that one.
What did you rate that? I can't remember now out of 10.
I think I might have given it a 7, which ain't bad, is it? A 7. And but I don't know. I think I've said to you in the past that usually fast songs
You're a mid-tempo
are not. I'm a mid-tempo and ballad songs usually. But saying that, Blood from Above is like an amazing fast song. So it depends, doesn't it? For me, it depends what sort of fast song it is.
This to me is another reason why I love Stryper so much too, though, is that I love how they mix it up.
Yeah.
I love how they'll start an album with a barn burner, end an album with a barn burner, have a lot of mid-tempo stuff in the middle, and then throw in one or two amazing ballads. It really balances out the listening experience.
Oh my, yeah.
I mean, yesterday we were on our way back from a little weekend getaway, and I put on Spotify the new AC/DC album. Love AC/DC, but I gotta say it's hard to listen to a whole AC/DC album because it's just there's not enough difference.
Yeah.
They're great songs, great musicians. Brian Johnson's a brilliant vocalist, right? But the songs sound very repetitive.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell the difference between the tracks.
I think it's the expectations of AC/DC. So I think you've got to, you know what you're going to get, don't you? You know exactly what they're going to do. But you still want little tweaks to happen. There's a song on that album. I know we're talking about Stryper, but there's a song on that album, and it's escaped me now. I think it's the third or fourth track in. It was my favourite song on the album, and it was my favourite track, and it sounded a little bit different than the rest. And I think it had a little bit of a southern feel to it. I think that's probably why it was my favourite song, but you know, you know what to expect with them, don't you? You're not going to get blimmin' Dream Theater, are you? With AC/DC, but no, you.
Funny, I got a buddy of mine and his son. There's a shout out to T-Bone Bentley. All right. He does drum covers. He's done a couple drum covers of Stryper's tunes. He did Blood from Above. He did Goddamn Evil. Guys, seriously, check out T-Bone Bentley's YouTube page. He plays all rock and metal drum covers, and he's even throwing in some guitar covers now. And hopefully he doesn't mind me, shouting out somebody else on his channel.
But definitely not. I'll leave the link down below if I find him, mate. I'll leave the link below in the description.
And he really does do these songs justice. And I remember he did a cover of Shot in the Dark. And his intro pre the thing, he's like, yeah, this album sounds like this album sounds like this album sounds like this album. And he was just, because, with AC/DC, you know what you're going to get.
Oh, yeah, you definitely do. And you'd probably be a bit disappointed if you didn't sometimes, I suppose. But so our overall assessment of this, well, we both agree it's top notch, wasn't it, mate? Production, the sound quality, the filming of it. It was well worth the measly amount of money they were asking to watch it. I can't wait for the next one, To Hell with the Devils live. So I think he said 2 or 3 months, Michael was saying, or one of the band members was saying in the Q&A, until we get that one. I'm not sure how long it's going to be until this comes on Blu-ray, but it's definitely worth a buy, mate, isn't it?
Yeah, it would be. I don't personally own a Blu-ray player, but I do everything. But I'm hoping it just comes on like the various streaming platforms.
Yeah,
I'd love to see it on on Amazon Prime Video or whatever. I kind of just gave up the whole physical media except for LPs. I bought myself a turntable, and I bought 2 copies of this Even the Devil Believes on vinyl. One, I bought the red vinyl, which I did a beautiful, nice like wall display. With the album, and I put up the picture of the Billboard recognition and stuff like that. So it turned out pretty cool.
Oh, brilliant.
And then I bought the blackout vinyl so I could actually listen to it.
Oh, cool.
Hard to listen to the one that's on my wall.
Well, we were saying beforehand, weren't we, before we started recording this, that I think, unless I'm, someone's going to correct me, I think they sold about 2,000 tickets for this showing of the Spirithouse, Even the Devil Believes live. So that's not too bad. I mean, I think Stryper fans are some of the best in the world. The comments that I see from Stryper and the Facebook pages, people are so into Stryper, aren't they?
That's one thing that Perry made mention of in the Q&A. They were talking to him about what it's like to be in Stryper. Yeah. And he made comment that, he's been doing this for a long time with Firehouse and a couple country bands and stuff like that. He says, but this is the first time like he's seen that. I don't know what the words he used. I'll describe it as kind of that rabid fan experience. Like, Stryper fans are just truly some of the most loyal fans out there.
Yeah.
And we support. There's a couple people that I see on the Stryper fan club. I won't mention any names. Okay, I'll mention it. Stephanie, God bless you, girl. You're one of the greatest Stryper fans. I thought I was the biggest Stryper fan in the world, but man, that girl supports this band like there's no tomorrow. I even messaged her, said, so which ticket did you buy? She goes, oh, I got the top one. I knew she was going to answer that, right? Because, she just does. It's like Stryper truly does have some amazing fans out there. And, and I loved the format, that the way they did this. I love the fact that you know, people could pay more if they could afford it, not because they were getting more, but just because they wanted to support the band. You know, I think that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I'd be interested to see how many actually did it, but I wouldn't be surprised if there were a lot of them.
Yeah.
That actually bought the $25 or the $50 one because it was financially affordable to them. You know, obviously we're going through COVID. Not everybody can do that.
Yeah.
But for those that were able to do it, God bless them, and that just helps the band carry on and whatnot. So,
I mean, look, with Stryper as well, you've seen some of the posts that Michael's been putting out, what he's going to be doing next year as well. You only get that, don't you, if you're supporting the band? You know, some of the things they got planned are miles more than any other bands. You know,
it's mind blowing. It's like, how do they do it? It's, you know, truly, I feel one of the hardest working artists in rock today is Michael Sweet. I mean, the whole band is too, but especially Michael, just the fact that he's got all the other projects he's working on, like it's just constant new material for us fans to just eat and drink up, right? Like it's amazing, and truly thankful as a fan.
Yeah.
It sucks having to wait years on end for your favorite band to produce a new album. It really does. It's so refreshing that I can go and just love Even the Devil Believes as much as I do, and know without a shadow of a doubt that within 2 years I'll be doing it all again.
Oh, exactly. And he keeps me busy as well on here. I mean, man.
Pretty soon you're going to have to turn into just a Stryper channel, Lee.
Oh, mate. I tell you, it's just been mad. It's been really cool, you know, the Stryper stuff. And we're still talking about Even the Devil Believes now, you know, and I've got another Stryper, just to plug the Stryper Drive guys. I've got something going on with them guys soon as well. They've invited me on their channel. So, you know, we're still, I know that's a Stryper channel, but we're still plugging the new album. Do you know what I mean? And we will be, I'm sure, for a long time. Before we know it, the next one will be along and we'll be doing that one. So I can't wait. Got the new Michael Sweet.
I had a good conversation with Rex, and I think he's going to have me on in the new year possibly as well.
Cool.
So.
Yeah. So
kind of cool to do the cross promotion of all these channels too, right? That gets the word out, because, you know, somebody's going to see your channel but not see theirs, or vice versa.
Definitely.
So when we do that, when you do the cross promotions and stuff like that, it helps to get the word out. That.
Right, mate. Any last?
What do we score this live experience?
Oh God, I didn't even think about that.
On the spot here?
Well, you know what? I did say that there wasn't any weakness in it for me. You know, there was a couple of things that would play different, which you would expect because it's live. You know, you spend weeks and weeks in the studio, don't you? You can't, and then you have a bash at it live. I can't fault it in any way. So I'd score it as much as I did the album. I think the album, when it came out, I gave it near enough a 9 out of 10. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Because it's got to be along those lines. But here you get visually to see the band as well. So you mean it's just a bonus, isn't it?
I was saying the exact same thing. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10, and as tempting as it'd be to give perfect, I have a hard time giving perfect to anything, because that just means it's perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
I did give a couple songs on the album the perfect score, but overall it's just a fantastic album, fantastic live experience, very intimate. Just loved so much about it. I'm gonna toss in one more thing too, is that just the overall freshness of the band now, and it comes back to Perry. You know, he brings this whole new attitude, a whole new freshness, a whole new, you know, the guy's always smiling.
Yeah.
You can tell these guys are actually having, now I feel, the time of their lives. Like, and, you know, and just appreciate these guys for what they're doing. if you know, another thing I'd like to do, if you allow me to, as well, is I'd love to close this thing. I'd love to say a prayer for Oz.
Yeah, of course, man.
He's got the surgeries coming up, and you know, I've seen God work in miraculous ways. I've seen healings happen right before my very eyes before, just through the power of prayer. And we don't know what God's got in store for Oz. I mean, I watched the video that Oz had put out on Facebook Live even before the concert video. He put out a video, and the coolest thing is he is just a man. You can tell the guy has just got so much faith, and he's got so much trust. And he also said, you know what? Whatever happens, it's God's will. And he says he's already told the guys, like, if for any reason there's some negative side effects of the surgery and he can't carry on, he says, you know, he basically said the same thing I do. God's not finished with Stryper yet. And he wants those guys to carry on with or without him.
Yeah.
But of course, as a fan, I'm sure you're the same. We want to see it carry on with Oz. And so yeah, I would like to just say a prayer right now, if that's okay. And just,
not a problem at all, mate.
You know,
not a problem. Not a problem at all. You go ahead.
Father God, we just come before you right now, Lord God. We just lift up Oz. Father, we know that you've got his life in your hands. You've got Annie in your hands, Lord. We just pray for the two of them. We pray that you would just give them such a peace that passes all understanding, as your word says. Lord, we do believe in the scripture verse that Stryper is founded on, Isaiah 53:5, where it says, by his stripes we are healed. So, Father, we just ask that it be your will. We just ask that you would just, when those surgeries do happen, Lord, that you would give those surgeons just the perfect hands, Lord, that they would just be so precise, that he would pass through this surgery, that the tumors would be eliminated in Jesus' name, and that he would have zero side effects, and that we know that, God, you're not finished with Stryper yet. We ask that you continue to just bless their ministry, continue saving lives through their ministry. And we thank you for this and trust it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Nicely put, man. Very nicely put. I'm sure the guys hopefully will check this video out as well and see a message to them. So what a great way to finish the video, man. Thank you very much. Thanks very much for coming on again. And I'm sure
anytime
we're going to have
anytime you want to
loads.
discuss Stryper, I'm here.
No worries, man. Of course. And look, I just want to say it was a brilliant show. All you guys, you know, out there that may not have caught this one, make sure you see the next one. I mean, it's well worth it. Get behind these guys, because we want them to be around for a lot longer, you know.
Absolutely.
And giving us this brilliant music that they're giving us. So, you know, just fully get behind them and go for the next one, and then the next one, and whatever they put out. All right.
Absolutely.
Right. Brilliant. Thanks for watching, everyone.
All right.
Yeah.
Buddy, and till the next one, I guess.
Yes, mate. Yeah. And everyone watching this video, if you've seen the video, let us know what you thought of it. I'd love to know what everyone thinks of it. I know it's had a lot of good feedback, but you know, I love the comments below. They're absolutely brilliant. Let us know what you thought of our video. All right. I'll see you next time, guys. Cheers.